What's good, YouTube? It's time for another Magic Man review. Alright. It's been a day. Alright. This book has been a long time coming. It's a very short book, but it's guaranteed to piss women off. Okay? And it's called The Manipulated Man. Okay? A little history on this. I came about this book back in the day when I was trying to understand women, when I was out there on the dating market. And it really hasn't withstood the test of time. This book is dated, okay? I picked it up in the 2010s, around there, maybe 2011, 2010, somewhere around there. And it was dated then. And if you pick up this book, a lot of people in their 20s, they're not gonna, well, they might understand it, but this comes from a time when most people got married and had kids and started families, and they usually stayed married for quite a few years. There was divorce, but that was the trend back in those days, probably the 60s, 70s, 80s. Now, for my generation, Gen X, a whole lot of us, we can't relate to what's in this book, okay? Because it talks about families and dating and stuff like that, and a lot of us don't know what a healthy marriage or a healthy family even looks like. And it's not our fault. It's just it's the times, and you have to understand that different books and the point of view from the people come from different eras. Okay, say for instance, something written by Charles Dickens, we can't relate back to those days during the early Industrial Revolution, because we didn't live during those times. We didn't have the social values that they did back then. It's hard for us to understand. We can understand it to an extent, to a point, but it's hard for people to relate. And it's a little bit the same with this. For some people, now there are a lot of people out there that have healthy families and have, know what a healthy marriage is. God bless. I don't. And I've heard other people say they don't either. So this book is kind of dated. And the premises of her book, what she's making the point is that women manipulate men with sex. Which is, wow, that's a new concept. I've never heard that before. I mean, who doesn't know that, right? But she's saying that it's just more than that. It's some reason that she's not an equalitist. She's not for equality at all. And I personally don't think equality exists either, except for maybe in mathematical equations or Excel spreadsheets. There's no such thing as equality. That's another one of those propaganda thing. That's like religion. You have to take it on faith that it's actually there. Men are good at some things, and women are better at other things, like having children. Men can't have children. Only can women do that. So they have what they would call I forget what the term is for it. They can have children, men can't. Okay, so they have more reproductive. The word's slipping me. Let's move on. There's no such thing as equality. Okay, this is one of the things she's getting at in here, and she's really saying that men are superior to women. Now she's saying this. I'm not saying this. Okay, all right. So don't save your daggers and your shade for somebody else. And she goes into depth in several details why. You have to read the book yourself, because I'm not going to explain all of it to you. But one thing that's kind of annoying about this book is that she goes over and over and over again saying women are stupid. 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 And that's one of the reasons. If you're a woman reading this book, just don't even bother, because you're going to raise your blood pressure through the roof. All right? Now, one of the things that I don't think she really understands is human nature. And the motto of this channel is humans are going to human. I don't think she understands the male sex drive and how compulsive and obsessive it can be, especially when men are younger and they're just pumping testosterone, bam, 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 all day long, and all they can think about is sex. That's all they can think about. That's all they want to do, and they structure. Well, a lot of men will structure their life around that. At least that was how it was like in my day when I was a younger man. That's what we did. That's all we cared about. You know, fast cars, chicks, drinking beers. That's what we did. You know, maybe fishing too. You know, but that's what it was when I was younger. You know, going to concerts, picking up chicks. You know, partying, going to friends' houses, hanging out with your girlfriend. You know, going to the spot to make out with your girlfriend. That's all we cared about when we were young. You know, I think it's a little bit different today, and I've spoken to a lot of guys, and that's why this book is dated. They're not doing the same things that even my generation was doing. They're not even, I mean, yeah, they're still out there. They're still dating. You're not going to keep men and women separate from each other. But they're not doing the things they were in the time this book was written. So it's dated. Okay, you have to understand that when you read the book. Okay, this was written about she was probably writing this about young baby boomers, the silent generation, and the GI generation. And they got married and they had families. And there was divorce, yeah, but a lot of times they stuck together for a long time, you know, if not for life. So the book is dated. The premise of it, it sounds like caterwauling, really. And I'll get to that in a minute. But the premise, I mean, she really doesn't outline a solution in this book. Okay, men should realize they're being manipulated by women to serve women for her needs and her needs alone. Okay, so what is the solution here? We just don't get married. We don't have sex. We don't start families. Now that's happening a lot. But I mean, what's the end game here? You know, a little side note. When I was younger, they talked about it's pessimism porn, really. It's fear porn. What they would say is like, oh, the world's going to be overpopulated. And now they're saying there's not enough people. Oh, the sky's falling, you know? You got to really kind of tune it out sometimes. You know, when I was back in the 70s and 80s, they're saying, oh, the world's going to freeze. We're going to another mini ice age. We're all going to freeze to death. And then they were saying, oh, it's global warming. We're all going to burn up. And then they changed that to, oh, it's climate change. The climate's going to change and we're going to drown, you know. The ice cap's going to melt and you're going to die. I was like, it's like you got to turn it out. So which is it? And so it's like, what are we going to do, Mrs. Vilar? We going to stop? Are we going to just go extinct because you think it's a good idea? You think human nature is going to change because you wrote a book about it? I mean, it's not a bad book. It's just dated, and it's just not really solutions. And when I'm apart here, I don't want to really rant too much on this book. This is the second time I read it. Okay, the first time because I wanted to understand women, because I was trying to go out and get a girlfriend, get sex, whatever. But now that I'm older and I read it, I'm like, who cares? You know, I really don't give a damn, personally. You know, it really is it was a hard read. First time I was like, oh man, this is great stuff. Second time I'm like, this really hasn't stood the test of time. Sorry. I mean, how many times can you read women are stupid? You know, not women are stupid. Little backstory. When I lived in these apartments, there was a commons area. And in this commons area, there was a table where people would leave stuff that they didn't want anymore. They just wanted to give it away. And There's one girl who's going to VCU, and she would leave out her school books that she didn't want anymore. And these were books on mathematics. And this stuff was, I mean, I've taken statistics, I've taken college level mathematics courses. This was beyond that. This is like, you know, putting a man on the moon type mathematics, you know. Figuring out, you know, how many times somebody sneezes if they got a cold. Crazy, crazy mathematics, you know. The revolutions of the sun. I'm like, wow, this is... And she was, you know, she was a smart cookie. You know, so I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, women are stupid or all women are just giant children with titties. Okay, that's not what I'm doing here. And that's what she's doing this in this book. Okay, and it gets old. So, but for the guys out there who are kind of pussy whip, yeah, you probably should read this book. But they won't. They won't. They're going to defer to their girlfriends or their wives, you know, because some guys are like that, you know. I'm not like that. That's not the way I roll. But some guys are like that, you know. Different people make the world go around. And humans are going to human. You can't stop them. They've been doing the same stuff. Human behavior and human nature, it really doesn't change. Okay, so that's why you read about stuff in the history, and you can kind of predict what's going to happen. All right. This book was written at a certain point of history, and you can see where it's kind of ascending and descending. Sometimes it's plateaus, and you can understand what's going on. All right, because this is from a certain point of view of a woman. You have to ask yourself when you read this book, and you look at the picture of this lady. Okay, I mean, she's not exactly butt ugly, but she's not attractive. Come on, I'm not trying to throw shade at the lady, but would she read this book if she was a better looking woman and she was getting male attention? Probably not. All right, I ain't trying to throw shade on the lady. I mean, this is kind of, and she said this is not really a book, really. It's kind of like an essay or something like that. Let me just read the part of the book. This book is dedicated to all those it does not mention, to the few men who refuse to be manipulated, to the women who are not venal, and all those fortunate enough to have lost their market value because they're either too old, too ugly, or too ill. Okay? And she says fortunate because once you remove the need to acquire sex or to pursue a family, it frees up a lot of stuff. It really does. You can go out there and pursue other things, but don't get your hopes up on this. What she's saying here. Men are not going to read this book and stop, you know, trying to go out with women. It's just nature's going to take its course. You know, we're all going to be fine. The world's going to be overpopulated or underpopulated. It doesn't matter. We're not going anywhere anytime soon. All right. It's a decent book. For the first time you read it, maybe, if you're one of these younger guys and you want to understand women and you want to understand kind of like game or something like that, you know, or want to be a pickup artist. Okay, yeah. I could see that, but if you're an older dude, if you're an older lady, well, if you're a lady, don't even read this. You're just going to make yourself mad. Alright? It made me mad reading it sometimes. Like, geez, calm down, lady. And it's not as bad as you say it is. But it's an okay book. You know, read it once and then just toss it. Because I'm giving this book away. If anybody wants this book, go ahead. In the future, I'm going to set up an email account for this book channel. And we're going to do some stuff like some giveaways. Because I don't need to keep these books. You know, I don't need a library. If you want to read the books, well, maybe we can have a contest or something. I haven't really thought of it yet. But I'm going to set it up in the email account for this book. Actually, I think I already have. I had to set up an email to set up the channel because it's on YouTube, so you have to have a Gmail to have YouTube, I guess, these days. Because I think Google bought YouTube or Alphabet, whatever. I don't keep up with stuff like that. But I'm going to be giving this book away and some of the other books. Now, some of them, I keep in my library. This was one of them. I kept this book because I thought it was important. But the second time reading it, it's not as important as I thought it was. I mean, it was hard for me to read it the second time. It really was. Let me see if there's any more points in here that I want to go over. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, you read stuff like this and you're like, oh my, why, lady? I mean, her stupidity makes woman divine. Really? I've never. This is kind of like some Mein Kampf stuff, you know. I was like, really? Who would write this crap? It's good stuff, though. I mean, go ahead and read it. It's just like the other book I read about, what was it? Why the West Can't Win. You have to realize that the author is just writing stuff with a bias, and you know, there is some truth in it. You got to realize there's some truth in there, but you got to realize it also comes with a lot of bias, their own opinion, and their own hang-ups. Still, you know, a lot of these people are carrying around luggage. Some of them put the world on their shoulders, and it comes through sometimes. It's like you feel bad for them. It's like, wow, you know, what can you do? But hey, it's a decent book, and I finally made a review for it. I made a book review for it earlier, and it didn't really come off the way I wanted to. I got into way too much personal stuff, went into the weeds a little bit too much, and I really want to get into what the book is really about. It's about how women manipulate men, okay? And that's, you know, any man who's hip to the game knows that's what women do, okay? It's like, you know, dogs howl at fire engines. It's just what they do, you know? Some dogs don't, but most of them do, all right? What do you expect, all right? But, it's a fun little book. Oh, this one. Look, the universe is male. Did you know that? I didn't know that. The universe was male. Okay. I didn't know if it was female. I really did not assign a sex to the universe. You know. Maybe when she rewrites the book, she could say the universe is transsexual. Oh. Anyways, the universe is a tranny. Did you know that? Alright, that's enough humor. I'm going off in the weeds again. The Manipulated Man by Esther Vilar. Until next time, people.